Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Monday morning. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Monday morning, guys. I want to speak to you guys about a very, very profound download I received this morning. Great insights on the promise. I'm going to kind of ping off in different directions, so please just tap in. Take everything back to God. This word is definitely not for everybody, but if it's for you, you will know. Tap in. Okay, so a lot of people, from the looks of my email, a lot of people are feeling a disconnect from the promise. A disconnect doesn't mean that you don't believe or trust God. A disconnect doesn't mean that you don't want the promise. It just seems like there's something that's going on. You feel like you're turned off from it, or you're just not as giddy about it. You can do without it, right? These are the feelings, but it's not the truth. The truth is you know that you know that you know, but there's something that just feels like you're just not connected to it, maybe like you were some months ago, a year ago, etc. So here's what could be happening for some people. Okay. Now remember, we can't idolize anything, right? Except God. But the process itself at some point can have you idolizing the promise, have you idolizing the outcome, and you don't even realize it because there are so many different shifts that go on in the process. Again, sometimes you're required to sit, sometimes you're required to move, and I mean move. And then before you know it, when you start moving in your tunnel vision on the promise, because God have you in a posture to move, and then God hits you again with the be still. So it's constantly the back and forth. But it's very important to understand that when you feel the conviction to be still, you got to be still, because there's something that God has to do if he's asking you to be still. But because we're already in the process and it happens so subtly, sometimes you're still moving and God is telling you to be still. So right now, a lot of people are in a posture where God is literally telling you to be still. But it's just that silent place. It's that place of feeling like God is going silent on you. God has forgotten about you. And it's not that, right? God knows that we're human beings, so he knows that we struggle in certain areas. So I believe that desire, he pulled that desire back to really help us to be still, not for us to say we don't want the promise any longer, right? That's the enemy. You came too far to say you don't want it any longer. But I believe, because God is very strategic, at least in my life. So he pulled that desire back some, that gives us grace to really be still. We are in a posture right now to rest. Many people are called to rest right now. So God is really helping you out, because if he don't pull that desire back some, you're going to keep moving, and that's not what he needs you to do right now. Okay, that's one insight I got. It will return. It will return. It will return. The desire, it will return. So don't give up and don't go back. It will return. You know, it's like a relationship, like a marriage sometimes, right? Sometimes you're madly in love. Sometimes you're like, don't talk to me today. I don't even like you right now. Right? It just, but you're committed. So it's not about a feeling, right? It's not about a feeling. You're committed to the process. So you have to stick it out when it's good. You got to stick it out when it's not so good. You got to stick it out when it's just like, I'm not even checking for you right now, right? You got to stick it out. It's a commitment. Here's another insight that I got. Some of you, I know definitely for me, God had given you some type of download a long time ago. For some of you, it's a very long time ago. This can be 10, 20 years ago. But it didn't make sense at the time, right? He just gave you a download. And when he gave you that download, he also gave you certain signs at the time. Like that can look like numbers. A certain number was chasing you at that time, and then the number just disappeared for years and years. Now that number is coming back. That can look like a certain song. Something was affiliated with the download that he gave you a long time ago, and then it disappeared for a long time. But now a conviction is coming back to pick that thing back up. Whatever the strategic download he gave you, this can look like something that you would deem to be a hobby, another source of income, a certain type of career, a music career, or something. It made absolutely no sense then. But what's happening now is the reason why you're now starting to see these confirmations of whatever sort for you, and you're starting to get convictions back to something that he told you to do. Well, he didn't tell you to do it a long time ago. He just kind of gave you a vision of it or something. But now he's telling you to pick it back up now. He's telling you to get it started now. And you're like, wow, I forgot about that. But that was like 20 years ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. God gives you nudges. He gives you bits and pieces of things along this journey. This is why obedience is important, because many times God will tell you to do something, or tell you to remember something, or tell you to write something down, and it makes absolutely no sense. But you can't worry about that, because he will always bring it back to you. He will always bring it back to you. Pick that thing back up. Pick it back up now, if you feel the conviction to do so, or if he told you to pick it back up. That thing, whatever that thing is now going to bring you accelerated finances. Don't get excited, but don't think it's all for you. I got to get into some things. That thing is going to give you accelerated finances. That was a strategic download that is going to help you accumulate the wealth from the wicked. See, remember, there's a partnership. This is where a lot of people keep getting things mixed up. They think God just going to just give you. I mean, some things God will, but there are many, most, if not all, there's a partnership. You got to give God something to work with. Religion teaches people just to pray and that's it. By all means, please pray first. But if God says move on something, you got to move on something. You got to give him something to work with. Even if it doesn't make logical sense to you, just do what he tells you to do. That thing is going to accelerate. And it's going to bring and accumulate financial gain. But you ain't that cute, boo. It's not for you like that. You get to be a part of it, right? It's part of your blessings as well. But another reason why God is slowing us down too, many of us are already in destiny season. Like, you're already in it. But again, there's different levels in destiny season too, right? But another reason for this halt, why God is calling us to be still, is he's trying to bring that particular insight back to you. Here's what you must do. This is crucial. Ask God, what are you to do with that financial increase? This ain't for you to go and buy you a Bugatti. Like, this ain't, like, seriously. And if you're not careful, because most people aren't even accustomed, like the type of stuff that I'm talking about, type of money I'm coming about, we're not even accustomed to that type of stuff, right? We're just not accustomed to it. Not everybody, of course, but most people in our community, we're not accustomed to that type of stuff. So you're going to probably start feeling a conviction, or just do it with your own wisdom, to go start seeking out, even if it's just on YouTube, because you may not have the money now to like invest in some type of financial course, financial literacy, things like that. Like me, I'm not a numbers person. Seriously, that's one gift that I really wish I had. Right, I'm really not a numbers person. So that is definitely areas, and so you have to be wise enough to know what areas you really need help in. When it comes down to stewardship, you have to be wise enough to know when you have to seek help in certain areas. So for a lot of you, you're going to start feeling the conviction to start taking courses, or start, instead of watching Beyonce's concerts on YouTube, right? Instead, start watching some financial literacy courses that are free, things like that, because the type of wealth is going to be transferred to you. You're going to have to move a certain kind of way. Now, first and foremost, if you move on the conviction, right? Because God will tell you when to move, how to move, but you got to be so connected to even to receive it. Or in my case, people like me, the benefits you have is that nudge. You get the promptings. So you just know that you know that you know when God is asking you to move on something. But you still need to have some type of background where you can know how to really manage and steward certain things. A lot of you, definitely me in this category, everything is not for me, but definitely me in this category, you are going to be seers. You are going to be the people that is mainly those of you with that heart to serve. You're just naturally a server, giver, helper. God is going to start giving you clear insights. Even though that transfer has not come to you yet, clear insights on what you are to do, how you are to do it. This can look like farms. This can look like underground bunkers. Listen, I don't even have to even get into it. Those of you who get it, get it. Those of you who get it, get it. Because you've already seen, God have already shown you. You already know what it is. This can sound like a foreign language to some people who God haven't really shown certain things to. But those of you who are aware enough and God is starting to show you certain things, this is the time right now that even if you don't have that transfer in your hand yet, start jotting down the things that God is showing you. Farms, certain type of medications, if pharmacies were to shut down, that's more the natural side for the elderly, supplies for the elderly, storages, bins, and all that stuff full up with certain things. So, and that's just one group of people. For certain people, it just may be, I don't know. God may tell you to build a church. I don't know. But whatever God tells you to do, this is the time right now. Don't wait until it gets into your hands. It's going to be too late. God is giving you clear insights right now on how to navigate, insert, to set certain things up. And this is the time now to start planning and preparing and doing the groundwork. That's the word I was looking for. Doing the groundwork. You may not have it now, but he will give you the location now. He'll do the groundwork right now. Because when the wealth transfer happens, it's going to happen suddenly. So you already got the groundwork. So now you just got to boom, 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 right? So that. Also, some of you, all of us, I think, all of us, well, I don't know, but many of us, we're going to be called to lead people. Now, that can look like leading people to God. This is why some of you religious folks, or you folks who feel like, you can't even be human. You can't love God and still be human or be flawed, right? God's going to really start convicting a lot of you, because the people that you're going to be called to lead are not going to be people who are super religious and super, you just can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, you can't even associate with people because you're so blocked that if a person is not 100%, I guess, arrived, if you want to call it that, or 100% living their life like you live it because you're so perfect, God can't even use you. What do he need you for? You're already perfect, right? You're already perfect. So all you're going to do is judge all the people he's trying to really get you to be a light in front of, because you're perfect. You do nothing wrong. You just sit around and you judge everybody else. I don't even know who this is for, but my spirit is pinging, so it's for somebody. You sit around and you judge everybody else. And nobody even wants to be around you. God can't even use you. The transparent people who live life every day, who have a love for God, whose heart is pure but still may be flawed, these are the people that God has to use, because most of the people needs to see some type of light. Most of the people that you're going to be called to lead are going to be super flawed, But you're not going to be sitting there judging them. Yeah, you're going to tell them the truth, but you're not going to judge them. So they want to know more. They want to follow that light that they see within your spirit when you walk in that room. But anyway, there are going to be people in the promised land that we didn't even know about that were going to be called to lead. See, so many people are so focused. Even, okay, let's just say somebody who God has promised a kingdom marriage, kingdom spouse. Okay. It's different from different people. Some people have been promised a kingdom spouse. Some were promised a ministry. Some were promised a business. Some were, but so that's the trash man, guys. So your mindset is locked in on the promise itself. That one ministry, that one person, that one house, that one this, that one that. It is so much more massive than that. And another reason why we're called right now to sit still and on this halt, because we don't have all the insights that we need. Again, the enemy will have you so locked in on just the promise itself that you're so blocked and so closed off that God can't you're not fluid enough for God to even get any other additional insight to you because you're too locked in on the promise. So when God is not moving on the promise itself, then you're blocked because now you're fighting against it. Now you don't want to hear anything else. Now it's like, I'm mad with God. So he's trying to get you some more information, but the enemy have you still toiling around the promise itself. The promise it's already done. That's already done. There's no question about it. If you know that you know. The promise is already done. But there's other insights that God has to get to us that we didn't know about that he's trying to tell us now. There are going to be people in that land, not just your one person or your one ministry. It's going to be massive amounts of people that you're going to be required to lead. This is why you have to develop that discipline so much in the process. This is why God had to really work on so many different areas in that process to prune you and to condition you, because they're going to be people you have to lead. You're going to have certain leadership skills, things like that. You're going to have to love on people regardless if you think they're lovable or they're whatever. You're going to have to love on people. This thing is way more deeper than what we thought. The promise is, but there's much more insights. And this is why you're going to be given, some people will be given wealth transfers, things like that, because there's going to be so much stuff that you have to do within the promise. The promise is yours, but there are other insights, other needs, it's bigger. It's bigger than what you thought. So this is why many of us are in a season right now, not a season, but in a time right now where we feel like God has went silent. And he's not. God is still right there, honey, always, all the time. But he's trying to get you some information. He's telling you to go back and pick something back up. He's telling you to trust him. Oh, speaking of that, I know some people are like really, I am the complete opposite. Some people are really selfish when it comes down to things like finances and things like that. Like, it's almost the mind, and there's no judgment, right? Because again, we all are just different, right? I came from a line of servers, right? Everybody's different. But you have people who could, okay, for example, someone could have lost money long ago, like they could have maybe went through a bad divorce. So they developed this mindset, like, if I ever get money again, I'm going to be so tight. And then you have another group who are they're tight in general. Some people are just very, very frugal. Not a bad thing. But when it comes down to things that God needs you to do, that ain't even your money. That's really not your money, right? I mean, you work hard for it, but God gave you the job. You work hard for it, but God gave you the limbs to do the job. So don't get it twisted. Whatever money you have is really not your money. When God starts giving you increase, you can't be walking around here talking about God's telling you to go bless this, I don't know, this elderly couple who's somewhere in their house that there's no lights because the world ain't going crazy and we don't have any electricity, and there's an elderly couple. God's telling you to take these people a fan. Well, you can't take them a fan. no electricity, or battery portable fan, right? So these elderly couple, and you're sitting here talking about you can't because in 3 years you're supposed to be retired, and that's going to dip in your retirement money. Honey, let me tell you something. We are in a season right now that if you're tapped in, God doesn't show you. Whatever money you think you're going to have in 10 years and 15 years and 20 years, listen, I mean, that money may not even be applicable to anything else. You probably can't even use that money in 10, 15 years. So you can't even worry about how your retirement plan going to look. Listen, you better be so tapped in right now to know that God can bring you massive amounts of money tomorrow, and he's going to tell you what to buy, like certain land. God will literally give you strategic ways and strategic things to do now that's going to set you, your family, your land, and other people that he needs you to help, going to set you up where you won't even have to be a part of the system because the system is going to collapse. So the wise thing to do is versus rather worry about, and I get it, right? You work hard, so you done set up this 401k and this, honey, you might can't even touch that money. Maybe so, maybe not. But the safest place to be is in the will of God. Because God will take it, God will X that out and bring you triple, but then tell you to set up a life or set up a land, so much so that you won't even have to be a part of the system. This is why now, again, he's telling us to learn about these farming courses. Yes, because he stay you behind up off of vacation and start taking these farming courses like I told you. I'm starting my farming courses at the end of this week. Some of you guys got to start going to, as much as I hate guns, we got to go to gun range. There are so many things that we're going to be required to do because it's about to get crazy. So all this little fairy tale about the promise so cute, yes, it's that. You're cute, boo, right? We're going to have some fun, boo. But this thing is way, 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 way more involved than what we initially thought. So I wanted to share that. It's your girl.